Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com. I'm playing Cities in Motion 2. This is my second city. I call it city number 2. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to add a monorail system, but I'm going to add it in the center of my existing highway. So I'm going to take a depot as a starting point, obviously, which, I don't know, a good place to put the depot is obviously where the road is rather elevated and there's sufficient space between the road. I'm going to try over here. Let's see how this works out. Yeah, that's not so. Maybe I'll do it over here. Okay, so let's give it a shot over here. And I'm going to build monorail track, which should go right under here. Okay, good. It worked. I'm going to go under here. And I'm going to build it in the middle of my highway. And there will be some issues because the train stations might put the entrances and the exits on the highway, and we don't want that. We only want the entrances to be on regular roads. Such as right underneath where I just placed a monorail piece. And there is a limit to the length of a road that you can build. It's limited to 4,000 meters. So be aware that at 4,000 meters I'm going to have to start a new segment. And obviously this monorail is above the surface road, but it is beneath the highway. And there is a possibility that I might make it go above the highway, but I haven't decided yet where I will do that. If necessary, I will definitely do it. And it can cause problems because I will have to build underpasses and overpasses that go under the highway, and the monorail is going to block new construction. So there may come a point where I'll have to make changes to the monorail in order to allow underpasses and overpasses. So here's an example. I wonder if I can go over this. So now over here, the highway is at the ground level as opposed to being elevated. So the monorail is going to be elevated above the highway, which is going to be pretty cool. Got a lot of these overpasses I got to deal with. And they're just going to keep coming and coming and coming. Now, obviously, when you make a monorail like this is no guarantee for efficiency or anything like that. I'm only doing it because it looks cool. Okay, so that looks like the limit to how long I can build that segment. So I will start a new segment. Often I just build a monorail through the city. If you watch my videos that show how I build highways and stuff, I just do it the exact same way. But again, going for the coolness factor. I prefer to build a city all by myself from the ground up. However, you can't always do that. Sometimes, you know, this is a city that was designed by the developers, and you have to deal with some of the issues that they've created. Sometimes they didn't do a good job designing the city. Okay, so this monorail is going to have to go higher than all these road segments, or it's going to have to go around it. If you live in a large city like Dallas, Texas, or maybe Tampa, Florida, or Los Angeles, or New York City, then you're probably used to seeing a lot of construction projects that have complex bridges and things like that. But I think that most people are not exposed to it. The city that I grew up in doesn't have a lot of large bridges, for example. But then you go to a city like New York City and you've got these incredibly large bridges. In New York City, most of the bridges span over the water. However, there are some that go over the city, such as the BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, which is an elevated highway. I know that Los Angeles has a lot of elevated highways, and in Florida, such as Miami, they use a lot of elevated highways for the Easy Pass system, which they call Sun Pass. Easy Pass is what it's called in New York, but for the prepaid toll system. And then in Dallas, you know, they have amazing bridge networks. You'd see this immense construction, and I went on it over a motorcycle. You know, when you ride in a car, it's a little intimidating. When you go on a motorcycle, it's very intimidating to go over these massive bridges way high up in the air. And one of the issues regarding this type of transit is that public transportation works best when you have communities where people live in large buildings and they live very close together, such as New York City. When you live in other cities that such as Long Island, I'll use that as an example. Long Island has a rail system, but people don't use it to get to other parts of Long Island. They use it to get to New York City. So what happens with these rail systems is that a lot of them are just not that efficient. There's not enough people riding them because cars are used in places that are more spread out, and subways and monorails and things like that are better for cities that are dense, like Manhattan. Now, this is going to be very interesting to see if I can get this to fit in here. So basically what happens is structures like monorails and train networks, you know, are based on necessity. They're not based on, wow, it's a new technology, so let's build it. It doesn't work that way, which is why most cities don't use them. I know that New Jersey, for example, West New York, Newark, New Jersey, has a rail system that goes through the city. And the city of Newark, I'm sorry, I'm not Newark, West New York, and the parts that are near New York City, they have a rail system. But I don't think it's I don't think they get a lot of ridership because the city is not dense enough. There might be a lot of people that don't own cars, but I think a bus system is more efficient. As some of you may know, many years ago, there used to be more public transportation systems, trolleys and things like that, and they were replaced by buses. And there's some people who fret over that. However, the bus system is more efficient. You know, thank God we don't have trolleys. I lived in South America, and in one of the cities I lived in fact, a lot of the cities, they build cable car systems because the cable cars are very inexpensive and they can go over any type of terrain. So when you have a city that has a lot of mountains, the cable car can go up the mountain basically and offer service to people that live up there very cheaply. But they also did it out of necessity. It's very impractical for a car to travel up into the mountains. So they needed to have a better way, and the cable car was a solution. And otherwise people would have difficulty getting home. Had to do a lot of walking. Okay, so this is going to be a difficult connection that I need to make. I need to connect this to this, and it's got to be a smooth connection. It's going to be real difficult. Hopefully with a little bit of luck, I will make the connection. And I don't have enough experience with monorails to know if it will actually work. You know what? It might not work here. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to move this depot. So the point I was making with this type of public transportation, it seems like a really cool idea, but it also is very impractical for most cities. Or at least for most American cities. Okay, so why isn't it connecting from here to here? There's not enough space, it says. It looks like there's enough space, right? So this is going to take a long time. Oh, this won't take very long. Oh, you know what? I think I did this completely wrong. This is not the proper way to do it. Okay, the mistake that I made is I did it for one way, and I laid the track around for two-way. So I'm going to have to do it two ways going in. Like that. And two ways going out. Okay, so it looks like I've got the monorail done. Wow. Now I'm going to place the stops. And the stops will all be placed near roads, obviously. So there's the first one. I think it's going to be cool to be seeing the monorail running alongside the highway here. One of the things that I'm going to try a little bit differently as compared to the last game is I'm going to make my monorail all one network. Before, what I did was I made more than one monorail and they did not connect to each other and they had many different depots. I'm not going to do that for this game. I'm going to have one network. They're all going to share as many of the same lines as possible, which could make the game worse. And the reason why is because it makes the network a lot more complicated. The game will have to check one giant map as opposed to many small ones. And that can put a lot of load. I hope it shows up on the road and not the highway. I don't know where the entrances are to that monorail. Yeah, put them on the highway. Okay, just hope for the best. People are going to have to get on the highway in order to get on the monorail. Maybe I'll see if I can fix that, because obviously it's going to be a problem. Yeah, I guess it's going to do that for some of the roads. Yeah, it can't be like that. We can't have people going onto the highway in order to get into the monorail. So I'm going to have to find a better way. And it might mean I might have to make an underpass for pedestrians. Yeah, it looks like it did the same thing there. Okay, so occasionally we're going to have problems using this concept. But I will come up with a solution. And that was not it. If it's putting it on the lowest road, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try building underpasses for pedestrians, and hopefully it will build it over there. So I will show you how to build the pedestrian underpass. You pick the pedestrian. It really doesn't matter which of these two you pick. And you make a connection somewhere. like so. The road bends too sharply. Okay, now hopefully we'll get this station on that pedestrian underpass instead of on the highway. No, I'd still put it on the highway. And it looks like not in the pedestrian underpass. Okay, so I will have to try another method. Let's see what this does. Remove this and remove that. Let's check out this one. This one, it looks like it did the same. It put them on the lower level. Can't have it that way. Yeah, that one did it too. I think it's going to be a lot of work to figure out how to fix this. See how this did? No, it still put them on the highway. Okay, I've got another idea. Pedestrian underpass. Like this. Now I shall hope for the best. It looks like it did not work. I still see them on the highway. Yeah. So I'm going to try one more time. Yeah, put them both on the highway again. So obviously you can have the pedestrians on the highway, and they will go there. They'll walk on those off-ramps. Uh-oh, did I just delete my... I can't believe this. I just deleted my monorail. Unfortunately, there's no undo feature, and I just deleted the monorail by mistake. You got to be very careful when you play the game. You know what, though? I could load up a previous version from 9:19 p.m. I'm going to save this. It won't let me... Oh, I hit open by mistake. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to call it Monorail error. And I'm going to load... I don't think I have the monorail here. I think the last save is before the monorail. So I lost a large segment of the monorail, but I can replace it. I do have a solution that's going to fix the problem. Now, I'm pretty sure this doesn't have a monorail in it. Yeah. So I'm going to load that monorail map again. I'm going to replace the monorail, but this time I'm going to fix it so that when I put the stations in, they're going to show up on the lower road as opposed to elevated. Okay, so I guess that the missing part is going to be around here. I see monorail. Now the way to fix it so that it shows up in the right location is going to be to move the monorail so that it is near a safe place to build. Unfortunately, I can't build under this bridge. It has to go through the center of the bridge. Okay, so the question is, how do you get it to build the station properly? It's going to be to shift the monorail so that a portion of the monorail goes over the road and then we bring it back to where it was on the highway. For example, I could take it this way. Through here and go over. Obviously it needs to be raised to go over that street, and it doesn't mean I will lose that building. I know it's a crazy shape, it's not perfectly round or anything. But I could put in a pivot point like that. And bring it back to the center. And then when I put in my monorail station, it's going to have the entrances right on that surface road. I only see one entrance. That's really weird to put the other entrance in a weird location. It put the other entrance on the on-ramp over here. And obviously we don't want it to be there. So I'm going to try again. I don't know which one it was. I don't know why it would put it all the way over there. It makes no sense. I only see one station under there. I will try one more time. I see one station. Don't know where the other one ended up. Well, I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? There's no way for it to show me where it is, so... Oh, did I see it right there? No. Okay. Oh, there it is. It put it back on that on-ramp. It's right there on the on-ramp, and we don't want it to be there. If you have it on the on-ramp, pedestrians are going to cross over the on-ramp, and it's going to be a messy place. So I'm going to try once again to remove it. Find a better place. If I have to, I will change the monorail. For example, I could move it to here. And as you can see, once again, it put the station on the on-ramp. So I'm going to come up with one more solution. I'm going to remove this segment. I'm going to remove a portion of the other segment. I'm going to build the monorail through the city. So it's going to go through here on this street. And it will connect to there. And then we won't have these problems anymore. Okay. And then this we could actually keep in and reconnect at some other point and use it as kind of like an express lane. So I will put the monorail right here. So everyone will be very happy to use it. So as you can see, for this particular city, the monorail is going to be a very difficult build. I'm going to take this out because I want that area to build other buildings. I want that space back. Sorry, I hit the microphone. This is going to be difficult. Okay, I am going to build it properly, so I'm going to delete this line, and I'm going to redo it. Just want a gentle curve that doesn't knock any buildings down. That looks like it'll be it. I know it looks crazy, but it's going to work. And again, for the trains that don't stop at the station, we can have them connect right through like that. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to have to do it for those problem areas. Continue working. Obviously, there are stations that I've already built that will have to be redone. Now I'm beginning to see why what the guy did wasn't such a great idea. I saw another person do this in his video, and I thought it looked cool, so I said, oh yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. But I'm beginning to see that it's actually problematic, and maybe it doesn't work. So I'm guessing that this one went up. And there's the connection. Okay. There's no monorail over here. I thought I built it all the way through. Oh, it didn't go all the way around. Okay, so let's see what happens if I put stops over here. It says no, there's not enough space. Okay, where did the stops show up? Because I don't see them. And people need to get on. Oh, it's on the highway, isn't it? I think one of them is definitely on the highway. Or maybe both of them. Or maybe it's right on the ground. No, I guess it's on the highway. Okay, so I don't want to have that. I'm going to have to reroute the monorail. Here's what I'm going to propose. I'm going to completely destroy this monorail, and I'm going to rebuild it next to the highway instead of on the highway. And hopefully that will solve the problem. Otherwise, I will have my second wasted project. So I'm going to go along like this. I'm going to build it up to here. And you do want sufficient space. I made it very close. You need sufficient space in order to put in the stops. If there's not enough space, obviously it won't do it. Okay, so that one I'm pretty sure worked. I see one of the entrances on the bottom there. Okay, so I will continue. Make sure I have enough space for the station. I wonder why it did that. And we want to have buildings, so This will be another monorail stop right here. I'm going to get rid of this old line. Nobody ever liked it anyway, so it's gone. And I will continue with the new line. We offer better service actually with the new line here. As you notice, the underpass kind of disappeared. So I will build it to here, and then I will connect it with the rest of my line over here, and remove this. And I do want my buildings to grow back, so if they don't, I might have to make some changes to my monorail system. So I'm going to put a lot of attention and detail and time into the monorail to make sure everything is perfect, because I am a full-service company. Because there is a metro station below, I'm going to put this right near here so that people can get onto the metro. You'll notice that the metro station has its entrance on the highway. We don't want it to be like that. And I put it here because I'm expecting it to be closest to the other station entrance. Wow, another traffic jam. However, we're not going to have the monorail over here anymore because it creates problems. So it's going to have to be somewhere else. Which I'm guessing is going to be along this road. Let's see if I can get a perfect curve. Not that way. Okay, it's not that bad. A lot of traffic. Making me nervous. Okay, where's the monorail? Where's the monorail? That's what everybody always asks. Where's the monorail? I suppose it will come from here and connect here. Like so. I should really put some surface roads down. Get them down now before it becomes a problem later. Gonna be a little complicated. I could imagine that this could go like this and curve into here. maybe not. Okay, so I've got that road. Might not be able to put one over here, but I certainly want to. Okay, I won't be able to. Let's connect the monorail over here. I hope I did it properly. It looks like it's going to be difficult. Oh, it worked. Okay, so I got it. And I will remove this other piece that I no longer want. Okay. And I'm going to build a station. Where's a good spot? Right over here, I suppose, is a good spot. And I suppose I should build one over here too. You know what I really need to do? I'm going to have to offer service to the Opera House. So this segment is probably going to be deleted. I'm probably going to extend this close to the Opera House and then bring it back. The question is how? I can imagine if it goes under here. It's weird how it doesn't build. So if I build it to here, I saw a building change. I didn't notice what the building was. But right up over here, one of these buildings changed. I'd like to know exactly what happened. I don't know why it won't build over here. Okay, gotta make this connection from here to here. Oh, it worked. Cool. Delete this one. Remove this, rebuild this. Okay. Now we've got the Opera House on the network. Going to have to reconnect to the depot. Should be easy. Should be just a matter of connecting to here. Remove this line. And reconnect something from here to here. Okay. Make sure all the tracks are connected when you do these connections. If you see that one of them doesn't connect, if there's a little gap, that means that the angle is wrong and it won't work. Okay, continuing onwards. I want to basically get to here without knocking that building down. But it looks like it might not work. So I will have to go like so. The loss of another building. Okay, so the monorail is not going to go under my highway. I'll have to build it over. I think I'm happy with this. I like this monorail better than any of the other ones that I've ever built. It's just really cool. The other ones were boring. They just went across the map, and this one has character to it. Now the question is, do people care about monorails? You have different types of transit, and I believe they all cost the same amount of money. However, people have different amounts of money. Like, you have students and retired people and blue-collar workers and white-collar workers, and they probably have different preferred modes of transportation. And some of them are going to want to take the bus, and some are going to want to take the train. When I lived in New York City, everybody rode the subway, no matter what their income was. The stockbrokers rode the subway. The people that worked at the retail stores rode the subway. But that's not common in every city. In some cities, only people who don't have a lot of money, don't own a car, will take public transportation. But when I lived in South America, everybody, once again, took the public transportation. Everybody rode the bus. Very few people owned a car. You know, Americans that live in suburbs have a very different lifestyle than a lot of people in the world. I know I'm going to have to knock down that building, but that's okay. He didn't want to live anyway. I'm going to build a little bit of a larger road. Maybe something like this. And connect it all the way across. And I realize we're not going to see massive buildings forming over here. Okay, so I'm going to get back to my monorail, and I'm going to extend it through to here. So lucky for us, we're going to have monorail at this Buckingham Palace, because the royals, or whoever lives at Buckingham Palace, need public transportation. So I will put it right here. That will be the Royal Station. I'm going to place this after I continue the monorail. residential monorail, urban monorail, we got it all. Even our poor people have monorail, and even the rich do. Everybody does. Okay, let's drop some stations in. I've never spent this much time putting a monorail system down. Yeah, there's another one that's on the on-ramp, or off-ramp. On-ramp. Suburban America. Now, if you compare all the transit systems, the trains obviously are very fast, and they're a lot of fun. They're wonderful. But and you have buses, which are easy. Buses are very easy to route, and you've got the trams and everything. The monorails are really fast compared to the buses and the trams and things like that, so I really like having monorails. They zip around the map, picking people up, dropping them off. And I am building it so that I have room in case I decide to drop a tram down later. Which is why I'm building it a little bit on the right-hand lane. Okay, so we got more stuff to delete, which is old monorail that nobody really cares about. Totally lost interest. Okay, placing more stops. There's a peach-colored ring, and you want them to overlap somewhat. And you also want to be close to other stops. I wish that I were close to that stop there. When I lay down some more of the metro track, I'll make sure I line it up with the surface monorail as much as possible. And I'm really only doing this for fun. There's no necessity for me to have this monorail because the metro train is far more efficient. Don't want to knock that building down, but I suppose that progress has to be made. Wow, this is beautiful. It's going to take forever for me to finish this. The game designers say that the secret to the game in terms of public transportation is to give the citizens, the commuters, as much choice as possible, because they will take whatever is the best choice for them, whatever route is the fastest for them. And it makes a lot of sense. And you will see that sometimes they will walk to work if they're not happy. Oh wow, look at that. I can just go right here. Actually, the fastest form of train requires that the train be in like a vacuum. It's the air resistance slows down the speed of the train as it's traveling. So you want a train that goes through a tube that has no air, which would be a vacuum, and then the train can travel at a faster speed. And trains would be able to go amazing speeds if we had that type of technology. Not enough space. Instead of building along the highway, I think I'm going to change the route and start to build a little bit into the city, like so. Might lose a few buildings, but I think it'll be more efficient design. It'll make me happier that I actually have it. Won't have to worry about those complicated intersections. More people will have access to it. I think I may have messed something up and maybe it didn't finish building the final route. I hope I didn't undo it, but it's a real possibility. Okay, continuing onwards. Where are we going to go? Well, we're going to delete this. I don't want this anymore. And I don't know about this other piece. Okay, for now I'm going to keep it. Okay, was able to feed that through. It's a not perfect line. Maybe I'll have to fix that. I'm concerned about over here, so I'm going to try and fix this. I'm going to remove this segment. I don't like the way that was built. Okay. Go in and place a few stops. Okay, now I'm going to connect it to the old system because a lot of the city hasn't been built yet. And then I'm going to delete this other connection here. And I will add one final stop right here. If you have a line, and let's say I change this later, and I decide I'm going to delete that stop, you can delete it whenever you want, even if it's part of an existing line. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, how did we do over here? Okay, over here is when I started branching off, so I only have to finish off this part and I'm done. I'm going to bring this over to here. Wow, it's amazing how it fits through. Instead of doing the curve, I'm just going to build it straight. The train will magically find its way. And I will go through here and cross my fingers. And hopefully I'll have a smooth connection on the other end. Okay, and then I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete this, and I will delete that, and I will delete that, and I'm going to reconnect from here to here, which should give me a smoother connection, and I'm going to put in some more stops. Such as here. Okay, so that, I think, is all the way around, with the exception that I did not connect it to the depot. Oh, I did connect it. Okay, so it's time to drop a line. I'm going to go and do create new, click on that little bus to get rid of that window, and I'm going to start adding stops. I'm going to head south. I'm pretty sure that the metro lines, which are in green, are heading clockwise, and this will be heading counterclockwise. And I did make it so that I could go both ways. If I want to, I can have a clockwise and a counterclockwise running monorail. The people will be so happy. So I'm going to use the monorails and the metros as my main form of transportation. And then I will use a limited number of bus routes to bring people to the monorail stations and to the metro stations. If I want to add a new monorail line, it's going to connect off of this. I'm not going to build separate segments. And the good thing about the metro is that the metro can go over more of the map with less maintenance. If you try to do the same with a bus or a tram, you'll run into maintenance problems. The vehicles are not designed to go over long distances. So now the obvious thing that I have to do, I only added the southern half of the map. The obvious thing to do is going to be to add the northern half of the map. I don't know if I mentioned it in this video or not, but I was planning on making a transportation hub. And this is the way it's going to be done. You're going to have the one metro for the southern half and the one for the northern half, and they're going to connect in the middle. And people that want to transfer will use the stations in the middle of the map, which is where the river is. Okay, so that line is now connected. I'm going to go to the depot. It says I need at least 5 trains. I'm going to pick 5 of the high capacity trains. I'm actually going to buy 10 trains, and they will start running. So I'm going to create a second line which is going to run counterclockwise. No, this is going to go clockwise. And there is a possibility at the station that the trains could block each other from entering the station, so there's a chance I might have to make a loop, a crossover, so that doesn't happen. And I have to come up with a plan for how I'm going to do my monorail on the north half of the map. Pretty cool. When people design hubs, they do it with the intention of increasing their capacity, and it doesn't really work. It's a failed method what you should do is build based on necessity. Build based on where people need stops to get your coverage area. And don't worry so much about building a massive hub. Because what happens with the hub, like I said, you end up getting massive numbers of vehicles going into one location. And you end up getting all sorts of traffic jams. And obviously there's a way to design it so that you don't have the mass congestion. But still, you're designing the game for the wrong reason. You should be designing for the people's needs, not because you think it's cool to have a hub somewhere. Because the people might not take advantage of the hub. People tend to gather at the stations that are near the water. A crossover from one island to another usually will have busy stations, especially if it's in the center of the map. So I can predict where the busy stations are going to be. I just, before it even happens. It's certainly not going to be at the edges of the map. I don't have a lot of trains running right now. But if I do, I'm going to have to make monorail lines that cross over the existing lines. Well, actually, you know what? I might not have to do that. Okay, so I'm going to need some more trains. I'm going to buy 5 more. I buy the high capacity. There's no crossover right now, but there could be in the future. And I'll give you an idea of what the city looks like. Isn't that impressive? It's a beautiful city. And this is not the only district that has a lot of the big buildings. There's other areas that do also. And this should reduce some of the traffic now that we have another rail system for people to run on. I'm going to show you my coverage map, which is here. And you can look on the little mini map to see that probably half of the game has coverage. A lot of these places over here, actually we've got a lot more buildings over here now. They're starting to come in. It's not 100%, but it's getting there. And this area is filling in. I put in all these buildings over here on the far right. And over here I see a big gap for some reason. Oh, I made the space too wide. I'll have to fix that. So the idea was I was going to make an east-west monorail system, but I haven't done that yet, and I may not do that. I need to add coverage to all these different places, and you want to have continuity. Wow, look at all those people waiting for the monorail. I got to kick up the number of trains. I don't know what line that's on. Let's see if we can figure out what line this is. This is line number 1. I'm going to change the schedule. You put the end time to 11:55 p.m. and I'm going to do it for every minute. Now it needs 13 trains, so I'm going to buy... I need 18 total. I'm going to buy another 6 or 7. Yeah, I'm going to need a lot more trains than that. Okay, so as I was saying, you need continuity. Why would I run another train going through this neighborhood when I haven't filled in the gaps? You know, I've got this other area over here that needs to be filled in. And I know it's very mountainous, but I will be able to fill it in. I want to fill in all these little gap areas and complete the rest of my transit system. This will be filled in with a one-way road. I think the prudent thing to do is to build an underpass over here. So he's going to go down. Little underpass, and then this will connect over to here. We'll get some more houses built over there. Let's see how the city is doing. Got a little gap right there. So this area, as you can see, it used to have a lot of empty space. And then what I did was I'll highlight the road. I added this road here and this road here going across, which allowed some of the space to be filled in, but I didn't do it on the other side, and the other side has a lot of gaps. Check out the Opera House. No major traffic jams. It's the middle of the day. Buckingham Palace, how you doing? Don't see any traffic jams. No traffic jam. No traffic jam. You don't want to have traffic jams. If you have traffic jams, that means that there's a problem with your traffic flow. And if you watch my previous videos, you'll see how I had traffic jams and I reworked them, and now the traffic jams are gone. And the population is increasing, not decreasing. Okay, I am going to turn off all those colored lines. They are now off. And I'm going to speed up the game. Got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of space to build in. And perhaps one day I will put the game in a higher resolution so you can see the higher quality version of the game. But I don't like to play that way because, you know, we have limited resources. It's just a laptop. I'm going to build over here. I'm going to build along the water, and I'll leave it up to the game to figure out what houses to build where, what buildings to build where. And if it doesn't use the space properly, I'll resolve it later. I don't know where it was, which video I did it in, but there was one video where I completely moved a couple neighborhoods because they weren't making good use of space. I just decided to demolish them. And it looks like it should be done here too. Okay, I don't need this. Don't need this. Okay, there you go. So basically we've got a lot of gaps over here. And it's easy to fix. We take this road out, and we take this road out, and we remove these spaces here. So we've got a bunch of houses there that have no road. I'm going to go to a regular road such as this one, and I'm going to build it over here. And over here, and then I'm going to remove this road and this road, and I'm going to shift it perhaps to here, And if my measurements are off, it can always be redone. Nothing here is permanent. If you're wondering what the dashed lines are in some of those roads, some of the roads have a parking area. And the dashed line that's on the left or the right is where the cars are allowed to park, and you'll occasionally see cars parked over there. Oh, I hope that isn't... Oh, okay. Okay, so that's going to be the new design. I know it's nothing special, but we will wait until people start using it before we make a decision as to whether or not it's good. And I see problems with it. I just don't want to think about it right now. It looks like over here... Oh, yeah. Got to fill in this space. Big gap. Going to put in a one-way road that will connect from here to here. And this one I think is going to be centered in that empty space. Now you'll notice that we've got this triangular area. You can build over here. Obviously you have to build an underpass that gets you into there. I should be able to. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, so there's an underpass that gets me into the central area. But then you also have to get out. And you have to get out at the point, at the right point. At the end. At the other end of the road. So we'll be able to build, for example, up to here, and then I'll have to build a bridge or underpass. Okay, so it's going to be right here. And then I'm going to connect it to this road. I guess it's going to have to connect like that. That's what you got to do. And we'll be able to have some buildings in here. And in this other space, too. So maybe it really was worth it. Okay, so there's how we can have more building room. And finally over here, I'm going to build like this. I'll build, yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Like that. There's a chance I might have to build another road along the edge. I think I'm going to have to. Something like this. You know what? That big building took up some space. I'll let them build what they want, and I'll decide later if I want to change it. Going to get rid of all that. Now you'll notice that there's not a lot of connections to get from one place to another in this area. Because of all this highway stuff, you've got bridges to do crossovers, but it is very limited. And what I could do is build things such as underpasses. I don't think it's going to be a big problem because we don't have major traffic problems in this game. The game is about public transportation. So we've got a line here that looks like it's pretty busy. Line 2, 124 people waiting. So I'm going to change the schedule to perhaps do it every minute. And then we have to go to the depot, which is right here. And we need 4 more trains. But I'm going to buy 8 more. No, you know what? I'm going to buy like 10 more. And hopefully we'll be able to provide better service. A lot of people using that monorail. Okay, so the question is, do we have an increase in population? Let's go to our graphs, and we will look at the population. Well, a while ago we did. Perhaps it was as I added the monorail line, I'm not sure. But something definitely did cause the population to increase. And you definitely want to save your game frequently, especially after you make a major change to your game. I know that there's other areas of the map where I have a lot of nice, pretty tall buildings, but I don't remember exactly where they are. Combination industrial residential. So that's how my city is looking. It's really starting to come along. There's other graphs over here. There is one where you can see... Okay, this is the one I'm looking for. You can see how much the metro makes. And I've only got 2 metro lines, and it makes a ton of cash. And the other lines just don't. The bus lines don't hardly make anything. The monorail hardly makes anything. The metro brings in cash like crazy. And you'll notice that even though they have maintenance fees and energy and salaries, you don't have to do that for the highways or any of the roads. Yeah, so it's the metro that brings in the cash. It transports lots of passengers. You definitely want to have metro service. So it is a pretty cool game. I like playing this game. This video was about that monorail. I completed the task. And I'm going to come up with another plan for what to do next. But here's just some general shots of the city. If you want to see how the monorail looks, yeah, why don't we grab one of the monorail trains and I'll show you what it looks like to ride the monorail. Even though this is an old game, it's just as good as any other sim building game. The key is that it has all the components that you need to enjoy designing in terms of laying down roads and transport systems. It's missing a few things, but I think it's pretty cool. I would rather play this than SimCity, the new version. You know, this is 2015. SimCity has a lot of limitations with it. And Cities Skylines, I played with it a little bit, haven't done it enough yet to really want to continue playing it more. But I'm sure I will. Okay, so here's a train. I'm going to grab this train. And there it is. And you're going to have to watch it on the little tiny window. I don't know how to do it full screen, but on the little window you can see it where the mini-map is. You can see how it drives through the city. And there is something that we can push. Yeah, you can see how it's driving through. And this is a real city. Wow, I saw that hill at the Sydney Opera House. Didn't realize how big it was. This is crazy. This is like the view from inside a building. Well, there's how my metro goes. In SimCity, the version from 2013, I believe it was released, the people don't have like a place where they live and a place where they work. You know, what they do is everybody... Well, okay, let me put it this way. You have individual people in those games, in SimCity. But the problem with the current version of SimCity is that they don't live in the same house every day and they don't have the same job every day. It's a really dumb thing that they did. They just go to the first house they come to and they go to the first place of employment that they find. In the old versions, they had a place where they lived and a place where they worked, but you didn't get to see them on the way back and forth. It was all estimated, and they would just draw a line connecting the two. But in this game, you can follow a person. You know, a person actually has a place where he lives and where he works, and he will actually travel between those locations. So let's see if we can find some other interesting places in the game. Sydney Opera House is always interesting, right? Can imagine all the traffic that's going to be coming here in the future. All those people, 145 people, angrily waiting for a ride. Monorail line 2. Not enough trains are running. Wow, I'm going to have to increase service. I mean, that's all I can do is increase service. So I'm going to go to my schedule here, go to custom, bring this interval down to 45. It's going to add a few, you know, it's not enough. I'm going to do it at 30. Now it needs 20 trains. I'm going to have to buy a couple more trains. And there's my city. A lot of people walking around over here. Look at all those people walking onto the highway. That's a bad thing. You don't want people walking on your highway. They will cause traffic jams. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of all those people and figure out why they're walking on the highway. Why do they think that that's a faster route? Where the heck are they going? They're using it to get across to there. Okay, so I'm going to build some sort of a pedestrian bridge. Or something. I don't know why they're doing it. Here's a traffic jam. This used to have a lot of traffic. Now it doesn't. No more jam. Okay, so I'm going to save this game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.